Tonight on Dispatches, the prison where drink and drugs are rife, where if you don't like it, it's easy to leave, where more dangerous convicts are being housed than ever before. For the first time, a serving prisoner films undercover in a British jail.
One thing that I have heard mentioned a few times by officers, if you do intend to abscond, please leave the key.
Dispatches reveals just how open our open prisons really are. Her Majesty's Prison, North Sea Camp. 300 inmates supposedly a low risk to the rest of us. But our undercover investigation reveals that drugs are commonplace.
Was it good?
Dangerous prisoners are being sent there.
Not only the knife, yeah, and the axe down my trousers.
Convicts walk out unnoticed.
They didn't realise he was gone till 12. He left at 4:45. He had 7.25 hours to get where he was going. We've done it right, man. You know what I mean?
And some of the guards look like they don't care.
I've got to try and keep blinkers off. We've got any purpose. I just want to sit here and watch telly.
It is not secure. It is understaffed. It's under-resourced. And you've got a lot of people there who, frankly, should not be in those conditions.
It's a winter morning at North Sea Camp near Boston in Lincolnshire. 2 inmates have just disappeared. Officers are clearing out their cells. Dispatch's undercover prisoner is filming them.
How are you?
Hello. I was just helping strip his bed and that. Yeah, man. I need to go through his stock, mate.
Has he been caught?
The men just walked out in the middle of the night, and their disappearance is the talk of the prison.
His hands were shaking because he was pissed and on coke, so he done it. Idiot, mate. It's funny, isn't it? I was in hysterics last night. I couldn't get to sleep thinking of them running across that field. They jumped over the fence and fell into the ditch.
Did they find those 2 boys that ran away last night?
Who's that?
The chap next door to me. What's his name? He was on his own next door to me and he ran away last night with another chap.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Gone. Take that
Gone.
Yeah.
In the fog.
In the fog.
And they won't be the last. Another young inmate is already wishing he'd join them.
Jay said to me, he goes, you coming? Like that. He says, no.
What time was this then?
This is, well, before roll check. Before the last roll check. I was so close saying, come on, let's go. But I mean, a lot of it was to do with their getaway plan as well. I'm going to go nick a car and run the farms. I was like, no, I don't like the sounds of that.
But a few nights later, he did walk out. It's not that hard to do. Security is low. Inmates carry keys to their rooms and some are allowed out on visits or to work. There are 15 adult open prisons holding 5,000 men. This one holds 300, each of them supposed to represent a low risk of absconding. But North Sea Camp has a poor record for this. 49 men walked out last year, one of the worst results for an adult open prison. Enough for the officers to be getting used to it, as our undercover convict found out.
One thing that I have heard mentioned a few times by officers is, and by the way, boys, if you do intend to abscond, please leave the key. Getting a new key cut for your cell is an awful lot of trouble. So leave the key.
David Evans is an experienced journalist and broadcaster who was sent to prison last year for causing death by dangerous driving. He spent 4.5 months of his 27-month sentence at North Sea Camp. Like other open prison inmates, he was allowed occasional unsupervised days out. Shocked by what he'd seen at North Sea Camp, he agreed to meet us and film Undercover.
It's a place where the officers are disillusioned, tired, undermotivated. And I think that lack of drive is passed on to the inmates. The inmates spend most of their time lying in bed watching daytime TV.
Until his conviction, David Evans had no experience of jail. North Sea Camp was his first open prison. In 2002, the prison inspectorate said the camp had been suffering from benign neglect. Its last full inspection in 2004 said that it had major operational problems, not enough for the inmates to do, and poor control over drug abuse. David Evans soon came to agree. His first big surprise was the level of drug use among the inmates.
I went looking for drugs for the purposes of this film. It wasn't very difficult to find drugs. I was surprised how close the drug taking was to where I was living. I don't want to try it, I just want to see what effect it has on people.
Are you a policeman?
No, I'm not, 1,000,000% not.
So at home we just use tin foil that you cook a chicken in, you know. And
Heroin is expensive inside, so sometimes it's diluted to make it go further.
What's that?
Oil, pod of oil. All that does is make the deal run further. At home we don't use it because you get bigger deals, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're small in here, it just makes it run further.
So it's 4 times as expensive in prison as it is at home?
Well, roughly 3 to 4, yeah. You want?
No. But I want to see what it looks like. I know, but it's... God. Is it good? Yeah? Tell me, what does it feel like?
Right. It feels like someone's just come up and cuddled you with cotton wool, mate.
Prisons have been trying to deal with this tide of drugs, but it doesn't seem to be working. 11 years ago, random drug tests were made compulsory for prisoners. 2 years ago, 40% of inmates still admitted using whilst inside. In North Sea Camp, David Evans, Dispatch's undercover prisoner, has been called up for his random test.
You are required to attend the compliance testing suite. Failure to attend for this drugs test will be treated as a positive result.
And if you're not
and
able
affect your privileges.
to piss when they tell you to, that will be classed as a positive as well.
Mandatory drug tests, also called MDTs or dip tests, screen urine for drugs.
A lot of failures today? Hey? A lot of people failing?
No, not South Unit prisoners. Good boys.
Good boys.
Good boys in South Unit.
Definitely.
We won't have anything else.
Not all of the South Unit prisoners are such good boys.
One night, yeah, I had 10 prison bags of heroin. 10. Me, one night. Smashed, right? 36 hours later, I'm on a test. Come back negative, and they were gutted.
1 in 5 men at North Sea Camp tests positive for drugs. Inmates claim that figure should be higher. Prisoners say they sometimes cheat the test by using tea or a urine sample from an inmate who doesn't take drugs instead of their own.
Okay. He's got a little medicine bottle, yeah? You need the plastic, like an eye drop thing to the top. Right, straps it to his dick, and he just holds it like one piss squirts in there. It's lukewarm because he's heated it up first, right? And you need the squeezy thing so it sounds like you're pissing when it hits, you know, like that. They test it. Negative, obviously.
Wow.
Good, eh? I like that.
David Evans was often told that testing drives prisoners off milder drugs like cannabis and onto heroin because it leaves the body quickly and is harder to detect. This means convicts can leave jail with worse drug problems than they had when they arrived. Many believe that drug testing is actually damaging the open prison's work of rehabilitation. Our undercover prisoner talked to a drugs worker one day outside the prison's chapel.
One thing that I've heard is people tend to go on the opiates because it leaves the body quicker than if they were taking...
Well, I think yes, that's true, I think, and many people did that when they started, when they brought drug testing in. People moved from cannabis to, the heroin. That caused many more problems, didn't it? You know, with debt and all sorts of... Have you spoken to, if you speak to the chaps who have been in a long time?
Jail, I'd like to answer for. They have flooded every village, to the cities, full of smash-ups. You know what I mean? No one would admit to being on smack. They brought the MDTs there, the dip test, yeah? Most lads would walk around looking really healthy, and then suddenly there'll be lads who were ginormous. I see them 12 months later, they'd be like 8 stone. They've all turned to smack. It was quicker to have a boot, be out the system in 2 days, where if you had cannabis, it was in you for a month.
According to official figures, cannabis use has dropped in prison since testing began, but heroin use has remained as strong as before. Some professionals believe that testing has failed and that cannabis use was the lesser of 2 evils.
Even the officers would not, I wouldn't say encourage it, but they would, you know, give him something to calm him down. And rightly or wrongly, it's kept people calm. And I don't think it caused as many problems. I mean, obviously I think it was, but once heroin came in, that's a nasty, dirty thing.
Lord Ramsbotham was Chief Inspector of Prisons until 2001. He started the job just as mandatory drug tests were being introduced. He believes that testing does encourage the use of hard drugs, and he agreed to examine our secretly filmed evidence.
We are creating heroin users, and of course heroin becomes the currency because of this business of getting out of the system quicker. Also, of course, you get more bangs for your buck on heroin. I mean, you don't need to smuggle in so much. When they introduced the mandatory drug test, I thought it was one of the silliest things they'd ever done. And I mean, he was confirming precisely that. The inmates know it's silly, so why do the government go on persisting with it?
Our undercover prisoner found that drugs intended to help people overcome addiction were also being abused in North Sea Camp. One of the most sought after was Subutex, an opium-like drug normally used in rehab.
I've got something your friend might want as well.
What do you got?
Some tablet things, because he's into all them kind of stuff, isn't he?
What are they?
It's heroin addicts have them, mixing to heroin.
Subutex or something, is it?
Yep.
Yeah. He talks a lot about Subutex.
Yeah, he'd be Subutexing tonight if he wanted some.
In some prisons, Subutex is prescribed as part of detox programs, but not at North Sea Camp. Without a prescription, possession of the Class C drug can get you 2 years, supply 14. Rather than using it to help them come off heroin, some prisoners were snorting it to get high.
No, I don't.
How many did you snort?
It's not our mates. 3 mil.
3 mil? What do you do? Grind it up, yeah?
Just crush it like cocaine. Then you snort it. There's a lot of subby. Someone got a lot in, didn't they? Time goes quick, mate, when you've got subby. I know. Probably the youngest. It goes quick when you've got any sort of substance.
There are drugs courses, and some prisoners do benefit. But even on these, David Evans found that the drug culture had taken a perverse grip.
What's this drug course like then?
It's alright. 2 hours in the morning, yeah? And you have a half-hour break there. You sit there for 2 hours every morning. It just, in the mornings only, £15 a week. And then on your last week, you get £30. So it's alright.
Doesn't get you off drugs though?
No, it gives you more money to buy them. Got excellent write-up, good reports, brilliant.
£75 to spend on drugs?
Yeah, £15 a week. You know, I get my money £20 because I'm enhanced, so that's £35 for drugs. It's beautiful, isn't it? So you don't want Subutex?
No.
Look at me, they're great.
No.
God, you'd love them. I know you would. If you had one, you'd think, yeah, you would really like them.
In part 2, our undercover prisoner reveals the gaping holes in prison security, which let drugs and drink in and dangerous men out.
What do you want us to do? Do you want us to get you a bottle of gin and a bottle of vodka this week?
Didn't search me, didn't breathalyse me, and let me bring in a bag without even looking in it.
Filming secretly for dispatchers, David Evans had already discovered a thriving trade in heroin and illegal prescription drugs in one of Britain's open jails. He exposed flaws in the heart of the system. Prisons are supposed to be secure, but the lax atmosphere at North Sea Camp has created an extraordinary market in smuggled goods. Some inmates with jobs outside the prison run sidelines, bringing in alcohol illegally. They say they're rarely searched. David Evans became a customer for dispatchers.
What do you want us to do? Do you want us to get you a bottle of gin and a bottle of vodka this week?
Yeah, bottle of gin, bottle of vodka this week.
Right.
Then the next time,
right,
you're out and you get a chance.
Right.
Get us some Stilton cheese.
Yeah.
A nice Stilton cheese.
Because I'm working this Sunday. I'm the only one out of jail.
Are you?
Yeah.
He's not on Sundays, is he?
And I've heard he's not on. He hasn't been on the day. I've just walked straight through there.
He reckons he gets away with it because only one of the officers regularly searches inmates returning from day release.
As long as you're careful, it's okay, isn't it?
No.
Yeah.
No.
So,
They're obviously not watching me.
No.
You know what I mean? Because they would have stopped us there, because I've just come back on my own there.
Exactly.
The prisoner goes shopping when he's working outside the jail. He's a trusted long-term inmate being resettled into the community. He's confident that security won't catch him, and he proves his point by delivering David Evans vodka.
And they don't bother to search you on the way back at all?
Really? I can tell by who's on at the gate, mate.
Oh, marvellous. Good stuff. Yeah?
Put it in your arm,
I'll put it in my arm here. Can you see that?
I'll just put your hand in your pocket, mate.
Okay. There. Yeah. Okay. So I'll come back later with £20 for you.
Right.
Okay.
And that's another one paid for you.
And that's mine. I'll ask if he'll give me his 20.
Right. Just say, because there's loads of people asking.
Well, exactly. Moscow Imperial Vodka, 75 cl. Decant it into a flask.
Christmas Day in North Sea Camp. Security has been noticeably stepped up in the run-up to Christmas as the authorities fear a big influx of drink and drugs. It's only partially successful, and prison officers talk openly about it.
If you see one of those bottles of vodka doing the rounds...
Aye, there's been some of them floating around.
Or better still, I heard there was a bottle of brandy.
Oh, there will be, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and keep blinkers on me. I don't want any purpose when I sit here and watch telly. Not all day, I don't want any hassle to do. Unless it's dropped on there. Try and go around with blinkers on.
Staff could only get away with that attitude if the managers let them get away with it. And the poor performance of management in not looking after their staff is reflected in the attitude of that officer we saw just now saying he didn't want any hassle. What were managers doing? Where were they?
Let's put the hats on, innit? That's me. There's nothing in them.
You've been robbed.
You wear this one, and then we'll have a drop of vodka.
There we go.
To 2006 Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas in prison.
Message for Fletcher. Porridge.
Porridge next.
Wellwood Scrubs.
Lax security also allows prisoners the surprising luxury of access to mobile phones. Prisoners are allowed to keep in contact with their family and friends by phone, although their calls are monitored and taped to prevent them planning illegal activities. Some prisoners prefer to break the rules by smuggling in mobiles.
Can I see your phone? Not only does he have a phone in prison, but he is one of the latest models as well.
You need to ring anyone?
Me?
Yeah.
Let me call my sister then, yeah? Just to say quick hello.
My number's
It says insufficient funds available.
Yeah, it's got the T-Mobile, that's why it's free to T-Mobs, isn't it?
Try this one then, see if this is the free one.
Go on. Oh, so what do? Your girlfriend's got a T-Mobile.
Yeah.
So you can talk to her whenever you want.
A lot of people I know is on T-Mobile. I've got a T-Mobile and a Vodafone chip. With Vodafone, it's free on the weekends to any network. So as soon as I use the Vodafone on the weekend, I pull out the T-Mobile. It's free all T-Mobiles during the week. And I start again on the weekend. So I'm usually more or less spending like £10 credit a month because I'm just using all the deals together in one.
As you've seen, the laxity of searching. An open prison, again, it hasn't got the staff or the equipment to do any proper searching.
All my sisters and my cousins, their phones are off.
I rang my nan yesterday. In Jamaica, I got one of them international card things.
Although mobiles are strictly forbidden, they're sometimes openly used. Inmates are confident they can get the better of prison security.
Hey, babe. Tell Ricky. David just said hello. David.
And I'll see you on the outside.
Routine checks on cells are one way to keep track of contraband, but even the inmates think security is lax.
Every now and again, a screw would lift our curtain back and look in to see us in our pad, but it hasn't happened for about 2 weeks. It's kind of as though they don't care anymore.
And another inmate back from day release had the same impression.
Didn't search me, didn't breathalyse me, and let me bring in a bag without even looking in it.
Staff must know. I keep on coming back to staff every single time. And the problem in an open prison, of course, is there are very, very, very few staff. So they can't maintain all the searches and the continuous supervision that they do elsewhere, which again shows the nonsense of an open prison of a lot of people sitting around doing absolutely nothing. And if they're working all day, they don't need to tackle all the vodka and drugs to keep them from being bored.
Weak security makes for good supplies of prison contraband. This black market brings power and money for those who succeed and causes intimidation and bullying for many others. Prisoners described how they pressured more vulnerable inmates into getting prescription drugs for them to use and to sell.
I got some amitriptyline, some tramadol, some Valium and some Zopiclan.
Some of these are smuggled in, some are prescribed at the prison. Inmates tell Daffyd Evans how they recruit and pressurise others to help them get them.
Tell me about this grooming thing. Grooming people to get certain prescription drugs. How do you do that?
Right. Just tell them to show the withdrawal effects and symptoms of whatever drug you're looking to get. So if you're looking to get Valium, then pretend that you're very shaky and panicky, rocking manically. If you want what I've got, then it's a lot of shaking, a lot of looking around the room, tears, things like that.
I came here, I didn't even see the doctor. I told the nurse a load of crap. They was giving me a box every time, a box of Valium, box of sleepers. I've told lots of people in here how to get the Valium, lots of people. I look for new meat coming in, and I think, right, I'll get on him, and then I'll split him with me. So I operate, so I get,
A key role of an open prison is to prepare convicts to re-enter society. 3 years ago, the Chief Inspector of Prisons said that North Sea Camp wasn't up to the job. Many of the prisoners Daffyd Evans met recognised that a culture of illegal drink and drugs got in the way of rehabilitation. He also found staff critical of the prison's standards.
Filthiest shambles I've ever seen. I've only done the job 3 years. When I first came here, there was 40 to 50 blokes went out to work, paid work.
Yeah.
And then you had 100 odd CSV guys going, coachloads.
The labour is terrible here. I believe if you keep people occupied, they come back home at night tired, and there's less frolics. But who am I? I found where I've got a comfort zone that suits me, and
Yeah, more work would be beneficial, I think.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, man.
I couldn't understand it when I came here. I expected every inmate to be hard at it or something.
Yeah.
Either some sort of work or courses or training or something, for you when you go out, What is it? I found it amazing myself. Not to do, is it?
I saw there, I think, a dispirited staff who were frankly in despair that they could do nothing. What there should be is proper resettlement prisons to prepare people, particularly those who've been on long sentences, before they go back into the community.
Fewer than 1 in 7 prisoners do paid or voluntary work outside. Others do short spells of undemanding work inside. Education and training are supposed to be provided, but even the staff are critical of the limitations.
It's one of the big issues, of course, is boredom, isn't it? They're bored to death. So what do you do?
If they don't use the library, if they're not readers, what is there? What is there left? I mean, it was good when they had the woodworking club.
Everybody used to make things and bang things, and during the week, in evenings and at weekends. And, there was lots of other clubs as well. What is there now?
Anyway, I'm talking, yeah.
Unfortunately, there's nothing these days. And that's a shame. It's a great shame.
You're seeing the actual practical effect of overcrowding. Though people think of overcrowding as being too many people in cells, It's not that. It's the fact that there are not enough courses to go round. And you can take more overcrowding if people are busy by day because they're just sleeping in a cell by night. But it's sitting around doing nothing that really makes the effect.
With boredom, other problems arise then, don't they?
Yeah, especially in a place like this where there's freedom.
Do you think drugs is a problem here?
Yes, I think so.
The level of drug taking isn't just a problem for the prison, it's one the prisoners will carry back to the outside world.
I know that people have arrived at North Sea Camp who had never taken drugs before in their life felt very, very vulnerable because this was the first time that they'd found themselves in prison. And when they were offered drugs, took drugs. Now then, I don't know what's going to happen to those people after they leave jail, but I suspect that because they've been tempted once, that they'll be tempted again. And if they are tempted again, that temptation will drive them to reoffend.
I know people who come to prison for the first time, second time, whatever, never touched drugs. One of my mates in here, he's never touched heroin in his life. He hated the stuff. Had a bit in here, liked it. He had to go to the nurse to ask for a detox. Do you know what I mean? Because he was getting that bad on it. You know? But it's a part of his life now, isn't it? Once you're in that circle of heroin and crack, you ain't getting out of it. Well, you can, but it's hard.
But you get addicted, and then when you don't have it, you're sitting, puking, sweating, and you're like that, and you rob your mother to get more. That's the bad thing. But when you're on it, it's lovely. It's a funny drug.
Yeah, a few people never taken heroin before until they came to prison.
And then, of course, the reoffending rate would go up.
Yeah, I mean, they get into trouble then, or can do, in prison, can't they? Or they get in that vicious cycle of drugs and debt and trouble and... but of course it links to the other business. If you've got a longish sentence, I suppose, passes the time. Nothing else to do, is there? You know, and you forget everything.
John Veer's story sums up the problems of open prison. John was jailed in 2003 for driving offences. He came off heroin at a higher security prison.
I went to jail to get myself clean and sort myself out. I felt healthy. I had no intentions of getting on drugs.
But a transfer to North Sea Camp with its pervasive drug culture put temptation in his way immediately.
The moment we got off the bus to go into reception to sign all the papers, a lad comes past the bus. He says, if you want any drugs, come and see me, I can get you drugs.
There was pressure too to go out and get drugs to bring back to the jail.
I was known on the drug scene around Boston, and then it just come, more people was coming to me saying, look, you can go into Boston, you can get us drugs if you want, or we'll give you money, we'll buy you drugs if you could get our drugs. It become more and more. Every time I was out my cell, going for my dinner, walking around the jail, it was people saying, oh, come on, John, you can do this, you can do that. And it just become too much head stress for me while I was in jail. I decided to go home and wait for the police.
John Veer felt that North Sea Camp was pushing him back into addiction. He chose to serve a longer stretch at a closed prison.
For me, a month and a half extra in jail was better than doing the other 2 months I probably had in North Sea Camp. So what I did, I put my clothes in my bed to make it look like someone was asleep. Walked out of there, through the farm, up onto the bank, and that was easy. It was. I was worried that they might have binoculars, but they obviously didn't. I just followed the bank into Boston, I did. And then the police come. It was about 11:30 the next morning.
Filming for 16 days, our undercover prisoner has revealed serious security and discipline problems at his open jail. In part 3, he tracks down the violent, high-risk prisoners housed in these low-security conditions.
Not only are you earned the knife, yeah, and axe out my trousers.
And he learns how the prison let a violent man escape.
He's long gone, mate.
Is he?
He's got too much money and too many friends to be caught.
Undercover prisoner Daffyd Evans arrived at North Sea Camp as the total population in jail reached a record of 80,000. More convicts, including violent offenders, were being moved to open conditions. An elite prison service memo said that ministers were prepared to take the risk that they would abscond. Daffyd Evans had already seen just how lax security could be. He now met some of the violent prisoners being moved to these relaxed conditions. Some were surprised themselves to be in an open or D category prison.
Well, I've been in prison 17 times.
If you're high risk, what are you doing in an open prison anyway?
This prisoner was moved to open conditions, where he was then assessed as too high a risk to the public to be allowed out on town visits.
Somebody in here has said, you're a threat to the public, but somebody else has said, he's fine to go to a D. You could walk out of here and attack somebody if you're a high risk.
Or could escape.
Yeah. So how do they...
Well, it is, but because the prisons are overfull and overcrowded, right? Because they came to me and said, I think you deserve a DCAT. I said, don't want my DCAT. Let me get on with my multi-skills course, finish that, and then let me go to a DCAT.
Loads of people coming in that are here for violence and that.
People like myself are doing an 18-month sentence for ABH, and you come straight to a DCAT.
Well, that's a crime like that is absolute no-no to any form of open prison. I mean, risk to the public. Bodily harm, no.
Open prisons are supposed to take inmates only after they've been assessed as a low risk to the public and unlikely to abscond. This is meant to rule out dangerous offenders or anyone with a substantial part of their sentence left.
That works in the servery, he's in for hitting someone with a baseball bat.
Do you think they're changing the type of people that are coming into open prisons now?
No, just sending anyone there. There's loads of wrong ones anyway.
Yeah?
Do you know what he was in for? Just completely lost control, went up to the bloke, smacked him, knocked him clean unconscious, stomped on his head, and he hit him so hard that he swallowed his own tongue. He was in hospital for like 8 months or something.
I got stopped by police. They stopped to search me, and I had an 18-inch butt flying off me.
18-inch?
Yeah.
Were you shocked that they sent you to an open prison?
Well, I didn't think I'd get a DCAT, to tell you the truth, because not only the knife, yeah, I went out and about, yeah, I had to axe down my trousers, yeah.
People going to open prisons has nothing to do with what their crime is anymore. They can get sent to open prisons because there's no room in other prisons.
Is it?
Of course it is. Just because they're too busy in all the remand prisons.
There's people with DCATs who shouldn't be in DCATs.
You've put your finger on a failing part of the prison service, and the public ought to be concerned because of the type of person who is absconding from there, who still represents a risk to them, and a risk that the prison service shouldn't allow to be opened up to the public. You've got a nonsense, frankly. It is not secure. It is understaffed. It's under-resourced. And you've got a lot of people there who, frankly, should not be in those conditions. And that says that the system of sending people to those places has broken down. That actually is a direct result of overcrowding.
We've seen the complete list of North Sea Camp prisoners for last November and tracked down the details of 36 of them. 9 of those 36, that's 1 in 4, do not meet the criteria laid down by the Home Office to be eligible for a move to Category D conditions. Paul Hocking was head of security for 2 years at North Sea Camp until 2002 and worked at the prison for 28 years. He agrees that the prison has been taking the wrong people in.
I'm not very impressed with them. I have to say that I'd leave it a little while before I'd recommend that they be Cat D. A serious sex offender that's committed an offence 18 months ago, I wouldn't think that he's been on the sex offender treatment programme and all that goes with that. And it's far too soon for him to be a Cat D, I think. Far too risky, as far as I'm concerned, to be in open condition so soon after major offences. And I couldn't honestly see any of these being a Cat D at this stage.
Probation officers are concerned too. They work with offenders in open jails, but to do their job properly, the open prisons need the right prisoners.
There are more people guilty of very serious offences such as murder, manslaughter, wounding, robbery, who are now being transferred in.
We showed Harry Fletcher the list of North Sea Camp inmates. He too found prisoners who were too risky to be there.
The first prisoner we're looking at was convicted in April 2006 for very serious offences, robbery, firearms. He got 10 years, so you wouldn't expect him to go into open conditions until 2009-10. He's there already. Probably the most unusual of all. October 2002, 18 years, so he's not going to qualify for parole till October 2011. I wouldn't have thought he'd get into open conditions October 2009 at the earliest, but again, he's already there. What staff are saying is, increasingly, people with medium to high risk are being transferred into open conditions, and the fear is that they will be very difficult to manage.
Last September, a prison governor warned ministers that this would inevitably produce a rise in absconding. But in North Sea Camp, poor security is adding to the risks. Prisoners have to submit to a roll check several times a day to make sure everyone's there. They carry ID cards which officers are supposed to see.
Identity cards have been ripped up and thrown in the bin or been scribbled over. And I think that's absolutely crucial, because if you can't verify that the person who's shouting out 5-6 or 4-7 or 3-2 is the person who's actually supposed to be in that room, well, how on earth can you maintain the right order in the prison?
One inmate has replaced his photo ID with a hand-drawn cartoon, but an officer who did ask to see it had an almost comic disregard for basic security.
He's holding the board with my number.
What did he say?
Just laughed.
He didn't tell you to get anyone?
No, just laughed. He knew it was me.
Have they ever checked your identity card?
Yeah, when you go for a piss test, yeah. When I went for a piss test, just laughed at it. What I wanted to do, I wanted to show him that, and I wanted to get him upset. And then I'd say, nah, it just broke recently. I've got my ID card there, and I'm just about to apply for another one. But he didn't, he just laughed. And he said, I know it's Mr. So he didn't seem to care.
They've never asked me for my identity card.
No, well they know who you are as well, don't they?
But it's a joke, isn't it? It's like something you'd make for the Black Hand gang at school or something.
I think it's very serious, this. I mean, the staff should have all their procedures regarded as a joke. Means that they're just not being carried out. And these are the things they're meant to be doing on behalf of the public. I mean, identity checks, as you say, and all this. If the people at the other end regard it as a joke, then what are they going to do about it?
They're supposed to examine identity cards at roll check, but they often let prisoners simply shout out their cell numbers.
5-6.
Thank you very much.
They're also supposed to look at the inmates, and they don't always do that either.
1-9.
511. Thank you.
You simply file by the office and shout out your room number. The reality is that staff turnover is quite high. So very often you'd have a new member of staff on duty that day. That new member of staff does not know the vast majority of prisoners in that unit. And none of them, in my experience, all the time I've been in North Sea Camp, ever asked to see your identity card.
5-6.
Thank you very much.
So if an inmate wanted to escape, he would find it easy to get round the security checks.
The breaches of security are so simple that you question whether they're going through the process because they feel the need to go through the process, as opposed to doing things which they know will improve security in the prison.
Last December, a man with a record for serious violence escaped from North Sea Camp. Brian Waite was not the kind of man who would normally be there. He got 11 years for robbery and arson in 2003. Even before he stood trial, Waite had absconded twice. The judge told him he deserved a severe sentence. Robert Williams, a security guard, was delivering cash to a bank. Brian Waite attacked him with a steel pole.
They produced the scaffolding pole in court, and it was a 3-foot length sawn off scaffold pole, and it was wielded, I can assure you, with some considerable force. It wasn't for my, well, we wear helmets as part of our uniform, but it cracked the helmet, and the third blow literally brought me to my knees, just by the sheer, the ferocity of the blows to my head. I really was the victim of a violent attack. It was a violent attack, there's no doubt about it.
Lincolnshire police confirm that Brian Waite is still missing and they are looking for him.
From what I understand, he's now living in the Netherlands. From what I understand, anecdotally, he was picked up in the car park, given £25,000 in cash. Another inmate roll-checked on his behalf.
David Evans was later told that 2 prisoners had given Brian Waite the time to make good his escape by standing in for him during roll check.
I did the first one, I didn't do the second one. Done the second one.
What time did you sign out for him?
8.
And what time did you sign out for him?
9.
I didn't know the 2 had signed out.
Yeah, 2 different people.
And they were none the wiser?
No, man.
Standing in night clerks.
They don't recognise you, do they?
They don't know who anyone is.
And luckily, they'd never seen me before, the person. But I literally, right, it was quite funny, because I literally walked up there in the hat, a scarf around my thing, right, and a different jacket on, and went, yeah, 2-7, right, and then turned around, walked back into the showers, took the hat off, took the scarf off, took the jacket off, walked back and went, yeah, 2:15. 2:15. She was like, yeah, nice. Literally, I think I was the next person back to sign on for myself.
Yeah.
Well, they don't lift their heads off the board, do they?
No, half the time.
1-5. No.
Half the time, no.
Me, 5-6. And what time did the other guy sign him off? 9:30?
They didn't realise he was gone till 12. He left at 4:45. He had 7.25 hours to get where he was going.
And they didn't.
Out of the country in that time.
And they changed the staff then by the time that signed him off. So they were none the wiser that he was signing twice as well.
He done it right, man. You know what I mean? He done it right. And he had plenty of dough. So.
And he had people waiting for him on the outside, didn't he?
Yeah, he's long gone, mate.
Is he?
He's got too much money and too many friends to be cool.
It's seriously alarming, and what I suspect is happening, which is worrying, is that because of the overcrowding, people are being told to move people on, and they're sort of cutting all the corners in the checking, because normally there's absolutely no way that man would begin to qualify. I mean, I would be pretty surprised with all that track record that he ever got out of a Category B high security prison, let alone down to D. And this is the problem, that if you have central control of numbers and you're moving people to where beds are, all the rules get broken.
The fact that he was placed in a position where he could abscond so quickly, I don't think he should be in prison. He should be serving his sentence, not being allowed to get to a situation where he could abscond so easily.
Open prisons, if run well, have an important job to do. They help reform criminals while keeping the rest of us safe. But our undercover prisoner saw both of these ideals consistently undermined by poor security and by the placing of higher risk prisoners in the open Category D system.
Either they want to run the Cat D system in a meaningful way so that there are only Cat D prisoners, suitable Cat D prisoners, so that they can get on and do the work properly, or they'll muddle on as they are and use it as a dumping ground for when the prisons are overpopulated. And my guess is things won't change.
If this policy continues of using open prisons to deal with prison overcrowding rather than its prime role of reintegration into society, that the prisons themselves will become more difficult to manage, more disruptive, and the progress that's been made in open prisons over the last 30 years or so, and open prisons are a good thing,
will itself be disruptive, and they'll become less efficient, less effective than ever before.
Dafford Evans saw complacency amongst officers that allows inmates to take drugs and drink and to abscond.
It confirmed all one's worst fears of what happens to decent staff if they're not given the direction, the leadership and the tools with which to do an important job.
And he witnessed firsthand an open prison system failing to fulfil any constructive purpose.
At the end of the day, I'm not here to punish you.
No.
I'm here to babysit you.
People say it's like a holiday camp.
Nothing's being done with and for them. So what's the point? They're just being warehoused. I mean, it's a contradiction in terms, an open prison. Prisons are not open things, nor should they be. Let's honestly stop deluding the public. We are not doing it on their behalf, and the facts are there that 67% of the current population is reoffending when it comes out. That is a ghastly failure rate which nobody should be proud of or live with. And here is the proof of why.
The Home Office told dispatchers,
open conditions play a vital role in resettling offenders back into society. Indications are that prisoners released directly from closed conditions are much more likely to reoffend within 2 years, so endangering the public. Part of the open conditions process is to enable risk-assessed prisoners to demonstrate they can be trusted prior to release. Where this trust is abused, offenders are immediately placed back in closed conditions. Offenders who deliberately betray that trust damage the public's confidence in the system and selfishly jeopardise other prisoners' release and rehabilitation.
Dafford Evans was caught with his covert camera on January 17th. He was moved to a higher security closed prison and given an extra 30 days to add to his sentence.
Dispatches is available to watch for free with 4 On Demand's new catch-up service. Go to channel4.com/4OD to find out more. Next, Animal Farm.